That's a rocket.
The Eye in Big Trouble in Little Chinatown features adult themes, language, and situations. Discretion is advised. 以成人为主题，语言跟情况小心。
Crime may like to hide in the shadows, but it can never really hide from the eye.
Calling all cops, calling all the little gumshoes out there. Do you think that The Eye is just a cherry of a show? Do you blow your wig every time Detective Victor Caine solves another humdinger of a case? But are mom and dad always carping on you when you throw on your trench coat and homemade MNYPD badge and sort through the clues of who ate the last piece of pie in the Frigidaire? Or try to solve the neighborhood mystery of Miss Norris's missing cat? Well, all that logamaki and balderdash aside, let's make you a true blue honorary sleuth, as WK Nut and Squidby Communications proudly present the Whispering Eye Decoder Ring. Slide it on your clue-grabbing finger and unravel the riddles all around you. Write in code, store tiny trinkets, and be hiply fashionable, all with a ring that even Victor Caine wouldn't be able to take his eye off of. And now, WK Nut proudly presents everyone's favorite heat with a single blinker, The Eye in Big Trouble in Little Chinatown.
The knock echoed in my head, like it was competing with the sound of the door in front of me. I hadn't gotten enough sleep. The previous night had been a real cluster, and I think you know what type. But I wasn't here to talk about the gruesome facts of the night. We'll get to that later. I was here to talk about a work of fiction. The author of a dime novel, some silly work of pulp, was lodged up in the Dakota. Swanky suite, swanky building. He went by the moniker Saxon Gray, but his real name was Keith Whitford. A quote from the book he had written, The Return of Zhang Kui, was stapled to the body of a dead Chinese girl whose murder I was responsible for solving. In the book, he talked about a war between the triads and the Yakuza. No, I wasn't here to put an embargo on his creative writing exercises. A man is allowed to pursue his passion and make a buck, long as it's legal and all that. No, I was here to find out if this particular literary labor was fiction, fact, or partially based on a true story. I wanted to go home. I wanted to go to sleep. I wanted to solve this case. But most importantly right now, I wanted this guy to answer the goddamn door.
All right already, hold your hose. Not you. You can keep those off.
What? Oh, shit!
Keith Whitford? Open up. Jesus.
Hi, is this like a census thing or something? Insurance salesman? Because I'm kind of occupied right now, pal.
He was a human. It was 6:30 p.m., meaning the sun was going down. His day was ending, and the rest of Monster New York's day was just beginning. He was zozzled, shirtless, kind of wet. I could hear at least one dame, probably two, inside. Either he had whoopee planned in his near future, or he'd started a co-ed cycling club and was adamant about getting his workout in. Are you Keith Whitford?
I'm Saxon Gray, author. Perhaps you've heard of me.
Saxon Gray's your name?
Yes? Why?
It's your legal name.
It's my name.
But it's not your legal name.
It's... What is this about? You're the rudest census taker I have ever met, and I have guests that need tending.
You also have some cocaine on your upper lip. He wiped his face quickly and concerned as I pulled out my shield, shrinking back a little from the door.
You're police?
I am. And you're Keith Whitford.
I am? Look, I'm just having a bit of a party here, so the thing is...
I'm not Vice.
Great! and the girls.
I'm not Vice.
Great! Oh, God, it's so great. Last thing I needed. They don't know me by my legal name, so the girls... Keith's not the sexiest name, you know what I mean? I might as well be named Trevor or something, or Bob or Sean or whatever. So yeah, if we could keep up with the whole Saxon thing, I'd appreciate it.
Sure thing, Mr. Whitford.
What can I help you with? You're not Vice, so you're... was there a noise complaint?
Homicide.
You're here to kill me?
Hey, You find another party out here or what?
Yeah, this cop is here to kill us for making too much noise.
The whistlebait that now clung to him joined him in a laugh. That laugh that only drunks, druggies, and idiots partake in. Where it doesn't matter whether or not what was said was funny, just that they still had the ability to talk. Isn't that a hoot? She was wearing a man's shirt a few sizes too big for her, and nothing else. A ripe-looking tomato, zombie it looked like, in much better shape than the pirate I had met the day before, and that shape was an hourglass. A couple of chunks of skin missing, and more than a couple pieces of it showing. I'm here because of a homicide investigation. Dead girl was found in Chinatown, and it relates directly back to you. So I need to ask you a few questions.
Buzzkill. Come inside.
Not yet. I don't even know his name. He's cute, though.
I walked into the digs, following the pantsless dilly who took a seat on the couch, and the shirtless author who went straight for the bar. Empty bottles, food, crumpled up and rolled up greenbacks, and those tiny little plastic bags that sure as hell weren't made for sandwiches littered the place, like someone was having a beef with the cleaning crew. It looked like these twits had partied for 4 years straight. Hell, maybe they had.
Get you a drink?
I'm fine.
Well, that was a long pause.
You really a cop?
I am.
That's creepy.
And you're here about some girl who wanted an autograph.
Or did you just hear there was action in these parts?
Neither, actually.
Am I barking up the wrong tree?
More like...
You like black girls.
What?
I don't normally do signatures, but since you're a boy in blue, I'll make an exception.
I'm not here for autographs.
You should get one while you're here, though. His John Hancock's awful big. And important. He's a famous author, you know. The Resurrection of John Twee.
Ha! The Return of Jean Qui.
You wrote 2 books? Every minute, I'm learning something more impressive about him. He's been on the radio.
He's been on a lot more than that.
And in walked another dame. I averted my eye because this wasn't the time for window shopping. Wild haircut, red skin, a tail with a point, and completely nude. Maybe I didn't avert my eye as much as I insinuated.
Hey there, Mr. Famous.
Darling.
I'm gonna hop in the shower if anybody's interested in joining.
Well, ring-a-ding-ding. Sounds like a party.
The zombie broad shed her sweater and ran after the demon chick.
A party everybody's invited to, by the way.
And they tucked back into a room I couldn't see.
Well, if that's all, Mr. Policeman, there's a position that clearly needs to be filled.
I'm afraid you're going to have to recuse yourself from that position. We ain't even got started yet.
Ugh! Can we hurry this along?
No, we can't. Look, I'm sure you're the cat's meow in whatever coke-fueled circles you run in, but I'm not here about some mall buzzer or some pickpocket or a peeping Tom. I'm here about a murderer, and one that's been using your book for turf war propaganda. So take your attitude, put it in the ash can, and tell me if you have any enemies.
Ugh, you! That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head right now. Look, I'm a writer. A writer! I may hang out in a dive bar every now and then when it's all I can afford, but I'm not rubbing shoulders with people that could be considered enemies. So, I'm sorry about your dead girl, but it has nothing to do with me.
Dead girl? What dead girl?
Another dame appeared behind me. I turned to see the waitress from Pigsy's Diner. She held a towel around her with her hand like tentacles, and as I recognized her, she recognized me too.
You're that cop. This is the cop I was telling you about, Saxy, the one that stood up for me.
Well, isn't that nice? Anyhow...
Don't anyhow nothing. He's on the up and up. If he wants to know something, you should let him know something.
Look, just answer a few questions and then get back to your flappers and your giggle water.
What if I don't feel like talking to the cops right now? What if my mind's a little preoccupied?
Ask her. I'll punch you so hard you'll look like the asshole you're being right now.
Plus, you'll party with one less.
Fine. Fine! This is blackmail, but fine. What do you want to know?
Enemies. You got any?
I don't. None that I know of. I'm from a small town. I just got to the big city a couple of months ago before the book's release. I don't know enough people to have enemies.
I thought you were from Los Angeles.
I've been to Los Angeles. But I'm from Canton, Ohio. Been publishing sci-fi and mystery and true crime stories in magazines. I wrote the book, and it's doing super successful, so I made the move. I'm not in any shady sort of things. I party sometimes, but that's it.
And this book, it's fiction, right?
100%.
The part about the Yakuza and the Triads going to war?
Yeah, that's all me. Honest, I thought it would be a good story element. I did some research, but only in true crime books and stuff like that. The last war between them was 1500, something like that. But it's been armistices and treaties and boundaries and instauration of peace ever since then. I didn't find anything about them backing out of that agreement when I was researching. I just thought it would be a neat, what if? Why? Is there...
Looks like someone was trying to make it happen. Or at least make it seem like it was happening. Using your book.
Hot dog! That's interesting. That's a story. Author's work becomes reality. Author writes about it. Hey, do you guys do tag-alongs? Or ride-alongs or anything like that? I'd love to get ahead of this. Take some notes. I can give you a book or something. Credit in the next one.
You'll have to contact One Police Plaza for that.
Yeah, definitely. Chain of command. I get that.
But if you wouldn't mind, a couple of copies of that book might help. I left the swanky airs of the Dakota en route to the next stop of the day. But my mind was somewhere else. It was still stuck on last night and everything that had transpired. While right now I was walking on marble floors, the me from less than 12 hours ago stood on the blood-soaked pavement of a crime scene. 18-carat disaster area.
And when I awoke, they were gone, leaving nothing but this lovely parting gift.
And you say they killed the old woman in front of you?
As an attempt to scare you away?
I don't think they were trying to start a round of the jitterbug, if that's what you're asking.
And where were you during this whole ordeal?
Apparently, I was telling all of my employees how pretty they are and where I hide my money.
He drank a special blend tea.
Got it. That's funny. You're free to go inside, Mr. Joe.
We'll let you know if we have any further questions.
This is not over, Detective Caine.
I'll try to get some more of that stuff for you.
I would appreciate that.
When did you lose consciousness?
When the one jumped on us. He struck me then. I don't remember much else.
I was next. The last to be attacked.
Then me, I guess. And I felt like a schmuck. I hadn't even noticed the thing attacking the dames. I was so concentrated on what was happening to me. That's not my job. I solve crimes, yeah. I follow leads, sure. But serve and protect. Serve and protect.
4 of them.
Masks.
You thinking what I'm thinking?
I think so.
So, there's this group. They call them the 4 Fiends.
4 villains.
The 4 Evils.
They've been around in China since no one knows. They've always been there.
Sounds like it matches your description.
Sounds like it matches the scene at the docks.
They're weapons for hire.
Meaning somebody's paying them to get me off the scent.
Pay is a strong word.
Now, this is all myth and contention here.
But legend says you can reimburse them in a multitude of ways.
Sex, violence, the chaos they'll induce.
It's really up to what they want.
You can see why they're called all the things they're called.
So you're saying money's not necessarily an option, and anybody could have hired them as long as they could give them whatever their bag was? Anybody from Manchu to the Jiangxi to some no-name big band on tour?
Something like that.
With your plethora of enemies, it should be easy to narrow down.
I don't like any of what you just said.
Hey, Vic.
You mind if we chat you up for a second?
Police business.
Yeah, sure. I'll be right there. Ladies, if you'll give me a minute.
Dawn service begins soon. We should leave momentarily if you're still intending on going.
Yeah, only be a second. Gents?
We know you know what you're doing.
Not trying to question that at all.
Just putting a query in your mind.
So, your eyeless wonder over there.
Shang? Crosstalk. You think she's tied up in all of this?
She's been at most of the crime scenes.
Met most all of the victims.
Except the initial one.
And even then...
She's not known for her truth-telling.
Just a thought.
Just keep your eye open, Vic.
We've got 3 dead bodies and a burned stable of Igwe. We don't want to add you to the pile.
We'll wrap up here. Sounds like you got some sort of church service to catch, right?
Yeah, thanks.
We are ready to make our departure. You look as if everything is all right.
I'm fine. Sorry about the blood works back there. You sure you're good with doing this?
You saved my sister's life. After this, my debt has been paid.
Glad you're warming up to me. Come on. My car's around the corner. In the present, the right now, I was on the train, headed from the Dakota to Chinatown. I was missing my car and aching like hell from last night's trials and tribulations, wishing I had worn an armored vest, and that's right, we haven't covered that yet, and here I am assuming, and we all know what that makes out of you and me. We'll get to that in time. Just know that I was without transportation, temporarily, and I had an appointment to keep that I sure didn't want to. I could have taken an ankle excursion and hoofed it over there, but I wasn't in the shape right now to do that. So the train seemed like a good alternative. Wasn't too packed either. I found myself in a car with a few monsters cluttered together on one end, and me and a motley crew on the other. An old antique of a New York rat beside me reading his paper, a nebbish lizard across from me doing his crosswords, and a pale, skinny type batting around, talking to himself.
They get to everyone, brainwashing them. You've seen that, right? You've seen the books and articles and papers exposing them. It's not just the government. It's the stores and the companies, man. But blowing smoke in your face to make you happy, make you think you're the it girl, the it guy, the it monster. Then you're so doped up with girly mags and positive reinforcement, you're gonna frolic around like there's not a care in the world. But they're out there murdering people, and there's not a damn thing you can do
Listen
about
to
it.
this putz. You're gonna listen to this schmuck, he doesn't even have eyebrows. No one cares, you albino freak. Oi, you can't even take a train ride and enjoy the paper nowadays. Trying to read my funnies.
World's full of crazy people. It's just that some should probably take more pills than others. But that's always been the way it was. Since Adam and Eve to now. From Bridgeport to the jet stream, it's all the same.
4-letter word, real word cop. 4-letter word, 4-letter word for real word cop.
Bull.
It's not. That's what they want you to think, but they don't really want you to think. They know I'll tell you. And I know you've heard about me. The rumors, the lies, the nonsense. It'll come clear, even if it has to be in a court of law. That's fine. These corporations kill. They kill. Sifon kills innocent girls.
Sifon?
Are you still talking? He doesn't care. He doesn't like you. Your mother, that wench of, what do you call it? What do you call it?
I was just...
Yeah, whore. That wench of a whore didn't like you neither. Stop talking. Nobody wants to hear all of this jibber-jabber. A little talking, that's okay. But the jibber-jabber? Does anybody want to hear this jibber-jabber? Nobody wants to hear it. We just did a poll, you albino dirtbag. Go back to the cave you came from with your talky talk. This one-eyed paper salesman is gonna bash your numbskull head in for the bupkis you're spewing. I trust him to do it. He's got an eyebrow. One eye. So a unibrow, but still...
Unibrow? You think they let any of us think the way we want to think? Say what we want to say? We're invisible, sap. Masters of invisibility, that's what we are. While all the saint fools try to be the rich cats, they'll never put the red carpet out for us. They're too busy running their smearathon. They say my people are yellow. We're not yellow. We're blood bleeders, just like everyone else. And they'll put us in Congress, and they'll teach your children one day. But it won't be because they think we're capable, or we can do it, or that we deserve the opportunity. No, it'll be so that they can pat themselves on the back and say how progressive they are. We'll be presidents and store owners, but we'll still always be Chinese, first and foremost, man.
8-letter word for male grooming. Starts with M. M is for...
Manchu's out in front of it. That's the M. L-M-N-O-P. He's the yellow peril they're all worried about. But he's killing innocent people to get there. Killing little girls, man.
A hand to Hashem. In my day, not for nothing, take it or leave it, a man could read funnies in the paper without some youngster, some creamy complexion bowl of cereal, trying to make the entire train a therapy session and uncomfortable. Fair. Learn to tap dance, you fagler. Be useful. Sheesh. It's everywhere you turn. Did you see the paper? Some bum shyster took out one of those slanty-eyed girls in Chinatown. They caught him, but still, makes me wanna upchuck my kishka. You can't trust the cops, they're all dirty too. Isn't that right, won't I? Guys like you and me, oi, we don't stand a chance. Plus, we gotta deal with Milquetoast over there with his Nafka of a mother.
What information do you have about Manchu killing somebody? A girl? Where did you hear this?
The walls, man. Don't you listen to the walls?
Some kind of detective. Everybody, listen to this jibber-jabber. Sergeant Depth Perception over here thinks he's part of New York's finest. Blah. Like you're the Eye or something.
Damn. Here I was in a convention of lunatics being just like the rest of them. Looking for conspiracy theories. Looking for anything and everything to confirm my hunch, no matter what source it was coming from. Maybe I was going bonkers too.
9 letters. The person to whom one is engaged.
In the present time, I was riding the line that crisscrosses underneath all of monster New York City. But last night I was on the drag, behind the wheel. Ba, the religious sister of my sometimes unofficial partner in the passenger seat, and said cross-talking partner in the back. Mostly because she wasn't the best at giving directions. The skinny was this. Ba belonged to some secret religion called the Cult of C, or the Church of Death. Cute and welcoming, right? The bull from the diner who told me about John's mysterious benefactor, who had said he taught this girl Chinese, who threw a monkey wrench into everything I knew about her being here for only 6 months, most likely belonged to the same religious organization. He wore the same ring. I could go down there and ask some questions, maybe give a facelift to my case. At least, that was the idea.
Not much further now.
You sound scared.
We are only allowed to bring those who might be faithful to the teachings of Masters I Win.
I can be faithful.
That is not interesting to hear.
Did you know this dead girl? John?
There are thousands of members of the Order. I do not know all of them.
I didn't ask you if she was a part of your club.
The
black taxi behind me laid on its horn. It was in close proximity, and apparently in a rush. I stuck my hand out the window with my badge clearly on display, figuring that would calm the situation down. What the hell's this guy's problem?
Typical traffic.
He's dogging us pretty bad.
It is simply some dummy, anxious and angry, wanting to pass us.
Well, I wish he would just do it already.
That car did not just hit us.
I think that knock means we got company.
The vehicle behind us is slowing down. The vehicle behind us is approaching from the left.
Right.
The vehicle behind us is approaching from the right.
That was the left.
The vehicle behind us is slowing down again.
Stop helping. Listen, do you know how to shoot a gun?
Guns cannot be shot.
Why do I even ask you things? One hand on the wheel and a deathly silent Chinese dame in the passenger seat, with a look like she might have pissed herself. I passed my bean shooter back to a woman with no eyes. Now just aim it. You could have rolled down the window. She fired out of my now busted out back window like she needed a seeing eye dog. It was clear she had no idea how to use a firearm, but the thing that wasn't clear was the cab driver's face.
Don't let him reckon to us.
Let him? Just hold on tight. I know what I'm doing.
You know what you're doing? Does this happen to you often?
The plan was simple. Break away ever so slightly, speed ahead, and turn back. Take the impact of his vehicle on my side. The girls would get shaken up, but not as much, and I'd have whoever this was pinned in, facing me. But best laid plans, right? On the force, we have this maneuver called the pit. It's an aggressive way to take control of the situation during a high-speed chase. And though it's something the boys in blue employ, you could do it by accident. You could just be a rude and reckless driver and do one of the most devastating things possible on the road due to simple physics. And it seemed science wasn't on my side last night. The cab's nose clipped right at my back wheel, and my beautiful jet black coupe fishtailed out of my control before taking to the air.
Embrace me, and I'll embrace you in return.
I came to upside down in an upside down car. Not to the sound of crying, "Don't die on me's," but to the banging sound of Bob staring at my car door. The sound echoed in my noodle as I stripped the door from its hinges and tossed it like a frisbee.
You are barely dead.
Something like that. Give me a hand, will you? As Ilis and her sister helped me out of the wreckage, I could really see how bad it was. Bad. Real bad. Driver's side had taken the brunt of it. Glass covering the street. A crowd gathering. You okay?
I have never been better.
I stared at her for a moment, trying to part through the seaweed to see where the waters were clear, and she could sense that. She nodded and hugged me like she was scared she would never see me again. You?
I'm fine, and I won't hug you.
Any sign of the trigger man?
He was gone before any of us made it out of the vehicle.
Figures.
There are so few people that want to kill you.
My life's a gas, I guess. Let's get to this church.
Now? Even after this?
Especially because of this. What just happened? I'm sorry you had to go through it, but it tells me I'm close to something. That wasn't just MNYC traffic. It was someone sending a message. And the sooner I figure out who that someone is, the sooner I can put them on their ass.
They're trying to kill you, and you want to go further? You must have a stronger will than I.
Nah, I'm just sore and pissed off. But that was then, and this is now. Now I was sitting in Chang Tien's diner, sipping on a cup of joe, giving panegyric thoughts to my car. A eulogy of sorts. Don't get me wrong, she'll run again. The Force is the best mechanic in the whole city. A phone call from the diner told me I could pick her up in a few hours, right after the shindig that I wasn't looking forward to. Figured somebody at the top slipped the mechanic a little extra voot to do a rush job. Not because they loved me, but so they wouldn't have to hear me whine about it. That car was the best damn thing to ever happen to me. And me and the gat I kept under my arm had an inkling to put a bullet in the head of whoever had hurt her. But I didn't know who that was. Not yet. The rest of the evening had been strange, but we'll get to that later. When this was done, I would be meeting up with Crosstalk at the mechanic. We were going to follow up on a lead, and I was going to follow up on something she and Fawn had said. But for now I was closing things. Shutting the book on a few leads that hadn't made sense, and maybe were never really meant to.
Oh, shit, Vic. I think your guests are here.
Yeah, but that's only the half of it.
Doris, you got customers!
Don't worry. We'll see it ourselves.
I have a knack for knowing where to stick my bottom.
Wukong.
One Eye. I'm here. You asked if I could be biddable. Biddable's the word. I'm not much of a word man. I'm not much of a man. I'm aggression and rage, covered in fur with a switchblade in his pocket, and I'm confused. If you want to take me to dinner, you could have just asked me on a date.
The same goes for me, Cyclops.
Hey, boss. Can we order food? These dumplings smell great.
喂，冇用飯桶，問佢啫嘛，叫餐啦。
You like that? I have good dumplings. Best dumplings in Monsterdome.
The Monkey King was sitting across from me now. The Clam and the long-armed one were at the bar, and Doris took their orders. The skeleton broad hung over Wukong's shoulder like a macabre mantle, making kissy faces at me. A wound-up chaperone there, in case he needed it. Look, I know you want to snap your cap when it comes to Susanoo, and I don't think he's an elephant's manicure either, but he's not good for this. Not any of it. You don't want him to take the fall for something he didn't do.
Oh, is that the true course of my desire? I didn't know that you knew me so well, Detective. If you know me that well, then I don't need to tell you what to buy me for New Year. Speaking of seeing red, I'm gonna gut him like a fish. I want to take his filthy lying chap face and grind it into a pulp beneath my boot while I tear out every worthless bone in his body. Is that too intense? He's standing right behind me, isn't he?
Nah, just me, boss.
Damn! I had to break wind.
Don't break wind on me, boss.
Looks like you won't have to hold it for much longer, baby.
Damn it, Vic. Really?
Detective.
Susanoo.
Kushina the Hime.
Susie.
You don't talk to her. You talk to me.
Monkey King.
Sushi breath.
You want dumplings? Best dumplings in Monsterdome! I'm making pork now. Sit down. Doris, I'll bring them out to you. Doris!
Have a seat. They always say we can do this the easy way or the hard way. But this should be done the easy way.
You brought me here?
He said it like a question, trying to put together how everything had worked itself out. Either that or destiny did it. My eyes wandered to the tattooed-up muscle that the head of the Yakuza had brought with him. His eyes followed mine. I don't know if Mirai had even realized he had spilled the beans to me about this meeting the night he and his buddy jumped me. Hell, I didn't know what the vision on his skin meant. But here we all were. I looked to the man standing next to the tattooed thug, his red hand bandaged up, resting on his sword. He stared across the diner at Shin and Cheng-Bi. The triad clam stuffed his face with dumplings, lifting his jacket with his free hand, making sure the Japanese man saw the gun he was brandishing. Long arms reached across the counter to get more food, the gun on his hip also visible. One wrong move, and this would be a bloodbath.
私は彼らの頭のすべてを今から切ることができた。
あなたはできる。しかし、あなたはすべきですか？
你们很厉害吗？用其他的语言说话？Shin，给他们看，我们也可以用其他的语言说话。
什么？
让他们听我们用中文。
How?
The sooner you tell us why we're here, the sooner we can leave.
Why are you in such a hurry to make tracks? You feeling guilty about something?
Shut your mouth, traitorous whore!
I'll shove your red hand straight up your own ass if you talk to my dish like that again, Nippy. Traitorous whore is my pet name for her. Isn't that right, doll?
Absolutely, babe.
I do not have to sit and bear witness to this fool's filth. This is no refection for me. Make clear your needs, or I will strike down every soul in this room!
Neat trick, Jap. I got tricks too. But you can ask my baby love here about that.
私と緒にこの野郎を破壊することを譲る。
If you were brave, you'd say it in English.
I'll kill this Shina, this Chinaman, this piece of filth.
Scared to say chink? Chink, chink,
Shut the hell up. All of you.
Tian, can we just...
Here you go. I bring you best dumplings I have. You're gonna be over the stars for these dumplings. Just you wait and see. You got beef, pork, shrimp, vegetable, xiao long bao, tang yuan for the lady on the hot date, and yak. The yak is the best there is. Put a little ginger on it. Treat yourself. You work so hard, everybody. Look so stressed out. No need for that, Barrel Cat. You got this baby cake.
Tian, you don't... These guys are kinda...
I know who they are. Son Goku and pissed off Japanese godman. I got it.
Books?
Story time? And then we kill?
You just don't get it, do you? You've been having kittens over one another, ready to put a convincer to each other's heads. And for what? You've been played. It's a frame job. It's all in this book. The note, the burned face in the streets, even the blowing up of your bar. Someone's been bringing it all to life. Just to put you at war, to cause a commotion, to get me off the scent of my case. It's not fact. It's fiction. Honest to God, fiction.
And this author?
Not yet. How do I know this isn't a play? You a double-cross or single eye?
What the hell are you talking about? Take a powder. I'm giving you the proof you need. Read the book.
I'm reading you, Ducky. Did the samurai slip you some fivers?
Are you kidding me? These mugs jumped me.
You do look like shit.
I like shit.
No, I'm not on the take. I don't even like either one of yous. No offense.
None taken. And this author, is he behind all of this?
No. He couldn't even tie his shoes by himself. Lucky for him, he's got company to help. He's just some human.
Then who burned my building?
Who is perpetrating these acts?
I don't know. I'm working on that. I don't know who, not yet. But I do know, as surprising as it is, that it was nobody in this room.
And when you find this culprit?
Dibs!
What will you do with him?
Not tell you a damn thing about them. I'm not here to make a deal with you. I'm not here to offer you the corpse of the guilty. Dry up if you expect it. I'm here to stop a war. and give you autographed copies of the book that tried to start it.
Oh, neat.
And for a moment, the sound of the silence was plangent. Like a hunter in the early morning, the stillness of the surrounding was all in preparation for the kill. No one moved. No one said anything. If anyone was breathing, they weren't showing it.
You want more dumplings?
Oh my God, Tien.
Did you blow my building up?
I did not.
The Monkey King reached into his jacket and pulled out 2 banknotes. He put one on the table. The other, with almost instant action, the skeleton broad had a Zippo out and sparked it up. Sun Wukong thrust the bill he was holding into the flame.
I'm not keen on truces or admitting when I pissed the bed, but a hell note. A hell note.
The illustrated man took 2 bills from his pocket and handed them to his master. Susanoo put one on the table and placed the other likewise in the fire.
The boundary has long been demarcated, and long shall it be respected.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. A hell note for a hell of a favor.
And one for you, from organization to organization.
And so each took a promissory from the other. A truce. A tense peace struck as the money they had set ablaze, a fire, burned in the middle of the table. Last night after the crash, Ba led our broken down and bruised up crew on the ad hoc mission to a small meeting hall looking building. The kind that looks like someone rich might have built it to live in, but gave up halfway through and never moved in. She took us in through a dilapidated back door. Polished floors and fancy furniture aligned the narrow entryway, a stark contrast to the abandoned look of the place from the outside. But we didn't have time to barber about the details. Ba dipped away for a moment and came back with 3 robes. Black, thick, the kind that cover head to toe. Me and Crosstalk went to slip ours on. Ba began to strip out of her clothes, and I tried to look away. She slipped a robe over her naked body, but I couldn't help but notice the scars. She was muscles and scars and just... I tried to look away. I tried.
Quiet and follow me.
The thing about a situation like this is it's hard to tell the tail end of it. I didn't know if we were sneaking in, pretending to be someone we weren't, or being ourselves but pretending we were converts. And there was no way to validate any of it. Ba wasn't a blabbermouth, so she hadn't explained any of this mumbo-jumbo, and I didn't know what to expect. But what I didn't expect was what I saw. Inside the hall, in the big open place where someone would dance or have a wedding or throw a grand old bash, it looked modern. Hardwood floors, stairs wrapping around the outside of the entire open space. Chandeliers scattered throughout. What broke it up for me was that in the middle of it all, in the center of the room, was a temple. It looked almost like a gazebo or a pagoda, or maybe I don't know what either of those are, but it was a building inside of a building. Candles surrounding the walk up towards it, and as we approached, I could see 4 rows of 4 people each inside, all wearing robes. They sat on their knees, facing a door. A little empty space and a closed black door. Surrounding us were more candles and bodies. Dead bodies. In chairs. I clocked 5 on my left and 5 on my right. They were almost skeletons, but not quite, and they sat in what looked like mock thrones, corpse monarchs, surveying their hidden kingdom. I was studying them, trying to make sense of it all, when Ba put a single hand on my shoulder and pushed me hard to the floor.
Do what I do.
I nodded, but with a push like that, as if I had a choice. And from the tenebrous corners of the temple within a room, a woman emerged. An ornate dress crisscrossing her body, a center jewel holding it all together over her breast, her black hair full of waves, her eyes full of flame, and her skin brown-green scales.
Another night has come to an end.
So it has.
Another dawn will rise.
So it shall.
Another life will be found.
So it will.
Let us come together.
So we have.
We subside in a world of trickery, a world designed to keep us, to keep you from the enlightenment you so desperately crave, we so deeply deserve. We faithful, we chosen, we sacred rest within the security of a wall. All of those outside of the wall, all of those people will try to give you their explanations, their theories, their proverbs, their exegesis on how the world came to be and how one must live in it. But ask yourself, have they ever told you the truth? Did a trinity make you feel complete? I spent lifetimes feeling alone, feeling in the wrong, feeling isolated until I found the path that freed me. And when we tell them of the path, they will shun us, like the old days where carvanasseries were scarce and those traveling together were looked on as a threat. We travel together because we grow together. We have learned together. You all have safe sanctuary here. Jiang Zaiwen has given us safe passage. He has sacrificed his own reincarnation so that we might learn the roads to take. Finding our way through life but once is difficult enough, but finding our way through life with completion, over and over and over again. That is how we will prove our worth to the cosmos. That is how we will reach a higher plane. Through suffering and death we will prevail.
We have.
Through suffering and death we will be tested.
We shall.
Through suffering and death we will be perfected.
We will.
Through suffering and death we will learn.
We pray.
And as the congregation finished their song and dance routine, the dragon lady undid the pin that was holding her whole mess of a nightgown together. It fell to the floor, revealing her naked body. And she was a no blister. I couldn't tell how old she was, and it was nothing sexual. I mean, she had more curves than a highway, but there was something alluring about her naturalness. Her nude female body, her scales. I didn't know what was happening. I was intrigued, but that intrigue was melding with a sense of dread that was coming on in a way I couldn't explain. I felt like we had to get out of there. Some primitive part of my brain was telling me to cut this baloney and make a move for it. And that's when, out of the darkness, two more guests made an appearance. One, another pretty young girl, dressed in a robe, face painted like one of those Asian bats, a geisha or geiko or whatever it's called. She was pushing this old school looking wheelchair, and in it, a man, maybe? His eyes moved, his chest wheezed with labored breath, but he looked like he'd been buried for centuries, dug back up, buried again, lather, rinse, and repeat. He looked like he was pickled, like he couldn't really move, like he was begging for death.
That is our prophet, the one you have come to see.
That's Jiang Zaiwen? The room fell silent as the man who looked like he should be dead seemed to say something. The chippy behind him, the one with the makeup, she let her robe fall to the floor too. The entirety of her skin was painted in this interesting and highlighting color scheme, intricate craftsmanship accentuating and distracting from her body. She made a show of raising her hand and slowly placing it on the corpse thing's shoulder. At first, I thought it was just theatrics, until her eyes began to glow. As the dead thing in the chair clicked away, the lotus blossom behind him began to translate.
My children, you precious sufferers, trapped amidst life, wanting to break free, come, show me your devotion.
As soon as the lip flapping stopped, the first row of four stood up in unison, as if they'd been through the business before, as if they did it daily. Without hesitation, the fraus and heirs alike dropped their robes, exposing their skin before the frail, skeletal holy man they had come to worship.
I have never seen so many naked people before.
Wait, what?
Quiet.
The four of them now approached the holy man in the chair, but they did it with this reverence, maybe even some hesitation. It looked like a divorcee going on a blind date, or a one-striper going into battle, like they knew what lay ahead, and they weren't sure if they were willing to go through with it. They gathered around the man. The Jane in the makeup nodded, and they lay hands on him. What the hell's happening to him?
He is the one who elucidates the path. We all must die, multiple times. We all must learn lessons. And a part of the lesson is that we are not important. We must merely serve purposes. Those purposes can be hard to find, but with a simple touch of he who has defied death, who has danced with her in twilight, with his touch, we come closer to our paths.
By this point, another row had gone up to expose themselves and touch the corpse in the chair. The first group had moved off to the side, with tears in their eyes, as they cherished whatever experiences were just given to them. And Father Time over there is the big cheese? The one with all the dough?
There are contributions made to the congregation. He is a powerful man in many, many ways.
How do I talk to him?
After the service, there will be a service and a ritual, all of which will last no more than an hour. Then we will ask for counsel, but you must be discreet.
Discretion's my middle name.
With certainty, I believe that to be true.
It was a bad plan. Any boob with a cursory glance could have seen that. The line full of Trotskys and Playboys in front of us were taking off their robes now. That meant we were next in line. And though Ba had worn the stylings of Eve, me and Crosstalk were a little overdressed. I was trying to figure out a way out of this pickle without having to show the whole room mine, when I noticed one of the nude believers glaring at me. I hadn't noticed him before. I don't know how I could have missed him with those giant horns, but it looked like this bull-headed devotee, my old pal from the diner, was seeing red now.
No, you can't be here!
I don't know if you've ever had a naked bull charge at you, but his size aside, there was enough Aegon in his demeanor to bring me to my feet in a defensive manner.
Atasha! Explain yourself.
This man is not a believer. He's a police detective.
He's a what?
The dragon lady with the scaly gams made her way over to me and ripped my hood back. Hi.
I can explain.
An explanation is most certainly required.
He can't be here! He's desecrating our practices, our faith! You followed me here, didn't you?
You need to get your brush out of my face, kid. I've had a rough night. I know you're cheesed, but I bet you don't want to be made Swiss.
He threatened me.
An explanation! Immediately!
He's here to blaspheme our
I'll
faith!
blaspheme that face if you get one step closer to me. I'm with the MNYPD, investigating a homicide, and I'm here to talk to Reverend Bag of Bones there. The gathered congregation reacted like I'd done something unmentionable in their cornflakes. My sheer disrespect scarified them in a way that nothing the Eli Lilly Company sold could ever fix. Or at least nothing I'd seen ads for.
How dare you? How dare you betray the sanctity of our temple? How dare you insult our faith? We who merely attempt to enlighten, to educate, to lead others into...
Yeah, I got it. A car in every backyard and a soul in every nirvana. Rebel on all you want, baby. I want to talk to the skeleton in the chair. I want to talk to him about a dead girl.
Out! Out now! You are not welcome!
And suddenly, everything dried up. It was as if the sound had been sucked from the room. But not all the sound. Because one sound cut through louder than you could have ever imagined. The sound of this emperor of the dead. The desiccated man in the chair. Everyone stopped on the dime. They listened to their master. In reverence and fear. The dragon lady had been in the middle of reading us the riot act, telling us to agitate the gravel and never come back. But now, the king was holding court. And the dame with the painted face began to work with him, like two young lovers French kissing for the first time. They were in simpatico with each other, slipping over each other's movements and sounds. The puppet and the puppeteer become one. And it was terrifying.
Let the one-eyed man stay. We have nothing to hide here. And even if we did, there is no assurance this man could find it.
You're a cocky son of a bitch, aren't you? And the crowd went wild. His petting party wasn't pleased with the tone I'd established, so I figured I'd take it further. Nice getup you have here. Paid for by the money you conned out of these jackasses, I'm assuming.
It is a feeble man who must tear down that which he doesn't understand.
Feeble? That's rich coming from a gray hair like you. Were you there when they invented the word?
Have you come for bickering or for answers?
I've come because of a girl named Jia Jian. I tried my hardest to clock the room for reactions. A lot of nervous fidgeting, but it was hard to decipher the cause. The girl or my tough man routine.
Is this girl here?
You know damn well she's not here, don't you?
Then why have you come here?
Cut the hooey. You know damn well why I'm here, too. I'm bird-dogging everything you know about this girl.
Everything I know of some random girl. Some street trash, some whore who slept around spreading lies and besmirching our faith.
Climb it, Tarzan. And when you get to the top, sit on it and spin. I'm not a dummy. You wouldn't spend all that money and all those resources on some girl that was just a floozy. Unless she was your floozy. Did she bring a little part of you back from the dead?
I am beyond the needs of the flesh.
But not beyond taking cheap shots at a dead girl. She was a member here, wasn't she? Answer my damn question, or I'm pulling you out of that chair.
If you touch one hair on his head...
What are you gonna do, Jane? Hiss at me? If this girl was part of this after-school program, look at how your Buddha's treating her. Telling lies himself. Showing how weak of a man he really is. But if he's telling the truth, she wasn't just sleeping with you then. She was seeing other guys, and that got you hot and bothered. She was telling people this whole rigmarole was a scam, some line you were feeding them and a gut-wadding one at that, so you set a couple of clicks and had her killed. 'Cause hell, you've been giving her the business, paying for her bubbly, getting bulls here to teach her Chinese, and probably crickets to teach her violin. So you killed her? You telling me you had a motive? Because if that's what you're telling me, then this whole thing goes away, and there's a storm coming. I don't think you got an umbrella big enough to keep you dry, dead man.
This child was not a member of the church, though she did believe in our ways, though she was raised in them.
Why were you paying her bills?
There are other followers of the faith who at times need assistance.
Nifty. Who's this one?
Our faith is a sacred one.
Was that sacred or secret? I didn't know this place was a speakeasy.
One-eyed man. I assume you understand the nature of laws in this country. Our church is protected by these laws.
Oh, I get it. You're a tax shelter. A shell company. Somebody pays you enough money, you put your name on the receipts for some love pad in Chinatown where some meat can pitch the woo with whatever quiff he can find. I'm thinking this man is either a very rich man or a very deadly hopper, but I'm thinking it's not you. How silly of me, thinking you could still perform. Your only performance is here for these people. Before the painted doll could even translate, I was in the corpse's face. I had gotten some information out of him. Understood that he was a middleman, that he was probably the one paying for Jian's apartment. But middleman for who? I wanted to scare him enough to give me the rest of the story. And plus, he'd pissed me off. Click away all you want. I don't care. Come tomorrow night, I'll have a warrant to tear this traveling circus apart. You understand me? And with a speed I wasn't expecting, the decomposing ruler of this cult of the dead reached up and grabbed my arm. The minute he touched me, I was like a junkie getting a fix. The world slowed down. Colors became more vivid. My jaw dropped. And this prick transported me to places I didn't want to go.
Victor.
Down! Get down! Incoming!
Victor, can you hear me?
Give me an oar. Stat. He's going
If
in the
only
shop.
you would see the things I have to show you.
Can you hear me?
Why cower?
You. How?
Perhaps now you see the power that I possess. But you already know the power of death, don't you, one-eyed man? You know her allure, her touch. Meander here as long as you wish. you will learn nothing more, save perhaps more about yourself.
That was then, and this is now. Now, I was staring at the back of my rebuilt car, and I was feeling a certain way about it. A few years back, I had this thing for this skirt. She lived in my building. I was apartment 25, she was apartment 4. I was carrying a torch for her bad, but she was in a bad way. So we were taking things slow, and that's a hard thing to define. Not even a lexicographer could really tell you what that means or how it goes. One night, after a bad shift, I knocked on her door with a couple of bottles of the vino. Some guy answered shirtless. Told me she was in the shower, but he passed the message and the drinks along. So there I was, left, holding the bag. She didn't know me a thing, but it was a slap in the face still. I'd see her around, and it was always pleasant. But my heart would always crack a little, just thinking about the night things went wrong. Mitchell Moynihan was a car fanatic. A hell of a mechanic, part human and part car parts himself. He'd done a bang-up job on my baby. But still, looking at her, I was thinking about last night. The night things went wrong.
Man, you look rough, even for one eye. I don't know if you'd be into it, but my crew could give you the once-over. Replace a couple of parts, supplement a little, have you running good in no time.
Oh, you part-timing as a funny man now?
I figured I could get that Stephen Greer run for his money.
Especially with that silicate ribbing you got going.
What?
Doesn't matter. She running?
Oh, good as new. Better than new. Hell, replaced the chassis. You had the big block crack like you wouldn't believe. New clutch, entirely redid exhaust.
Yeah, you replaced the dingus and the whatchamacallits. Got it. She runs?
She runs? Look, she's a pretty car, okay? Don't run her into more trouble. You got it?
I got it. Thanks, Mitch.
Don't mention it, please. If people knew how good of a deal I give you, I won't be able to rip them off.
It's like I was staring at the sea, because a wave of emotions was coming over me, cresting and foaming as it crashed down, and it just left me salty. Someone did this to me in my car. Someone knew I was getting too close, and someone was going to have to pay for it. Sure, the dents had been buffed out, the glass replaced, and it was an operative vehicle again, but I remembered the night things went wrong, and they would remember it too. I'd remind them. I was waiting for crosstalk, fuming a bit, when behind me I heard a couple of voices.
Where do you want me to puts him?
Just put him in the trunk.
In the trunky trunk?
Yeah, that should be fine.
I had a sneaking suspicion, in the worst of ways, that they were talking about me. I turned to go.
In the trunky trunk?
In the trunk.
I was knocked out cold. Didn't even get a chance to see my assailants, but I knew they threw me in the trunk of my own damn car. I wouldn't know why until I woke up, but that would be then, and this was now.
Victor Caine looks to be in a whole heap of trouble. How will he make it out of this one?
Crime may like to hide in the shadows, but it can never really hide from the eye.
The Eye in Big Trouble in Little Chinatown is brought to you by Bean Dip Productions and the Neighborhood Studio. The Eye is recorded at the Neighborhood Studio in Atlanta, Georgia. That's a rocket.